Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger, he's our exclusive guest this morning from Copenhagen, where later today he'll address the World Climate Change Conference. Good morning, Governor.
Hello, George. How are you?
I'm doing very well. Thank you very much. I want to get
to it's good to talk to you because I just wanted to tell you congratulations on this new challenge, on this new job. But there's no one that is more perfect for it than you are. So you're skilled and you're ready for it.
You are very kind. I might come to you later for some tips. And I want to talk about your speech in Copenhagen in just a bit, but let's begin with this breaking news on health care this morning. The president and the Democrats are scrambling to get 60 votes. There still is not a single Republican on board, and they're bumping right up against Christmas. I know you've supported the president's efforts in the past, but at this point, do you think the president should go back to the drawing board and try to come up with something that can attract Republican support?
Well, I think the important thing is that we need healthcare reform. There's no two ways about that. But I think it is also important to do it the right way and not just to make the deal itself become the main point and not the substance of the deal. And so I think as a governor, I'm right now concerned of where they are. As a matter of fact, I'm not supporting it as much anymore with this enthusiasm because the fact is that now it will cost our state $3 billion if they pass this healthcare bill. So, this is the last thing we need, another $3 billion of spending when we already have a $20 billion deficit. So I would say be very careful to the federal government before you go to bed with all of this, and let's just rethink it. There's no rush to do it from one second to the next. I think let's take another week or two and come up with the right package.
Rethink it. That is big news from you this morning, Governor. Thank you. Let's turn to Copenhagen. It seems like this conference is also getting off to something of a stumbling start. The poor nations walked out because they don't think, yesterday, because they don't think wealthy nations are doing enough to compensate for past pollution. It sure seems like the United States and China are at odds over how to enforce any agreement. And the UN Secretary General is warning this morning that world leaders are risking a failure of potentially catastrophic consequences. What can you do today and President Obama later this week to avoid this catastrophic failure?
Well, I think that first of all, anyone that has been part of negotiations know there is a lot of kabuki also going on. And so I think that one should not think because they walked out, this is the end of the negotiations. I think this is just a way for them to signal, pay attention to us. We are developing nations. Don't forget us. We want to be part of the mix and we want to be part of the solution, not part of the problem. And I think they're absolutely right. We have worked with them. We have had our Governors Global Climate Summit in Los Angeles. I think the third world countries have great ideas. I think this ought to be considered. And the other thing, our message, of course, here is that don't just all focus on the agreements that national governments are making, because then you will see failure. Because you're not going to go from one year to the next and have all those agreements. As a matter of fact, even President Obama, who's going in the right direction and who is very enthusiastic about fighting global climate change and global warming, but he cannot come here with a deal because he has to have Congress still approve it. So I think there are still the limitations. They should pay more attention to the subnational governments and to all the other entities. They should pay attention to the companies that are into green technology. They should pay more attention to the scientists and to the universities and to ordinary folks that are really creating that movement and really going to make this successful, not just putting all the eggs in one basket, in this one big international agreement basket, because you're setting yourself up for failure.
Your own party is really resisting President Obama on this, starting with former Governor Sarah Palin. She says President Obama should boycott Copenhagen. She's calling the proposals job killers. Here's what she wrote. The agenda-driven policies being pushed in Copenhagen won't change the weather, but they would change our economy for the worse. And she does seem to be in tune with a large number of Americans. The USA Today this morning shows a majority supporting the agreement, but 7 out of 8 Americans believe fixing the economy should be a higher priority than fixing global warming. What do you say to those Americans who say, let's fix the economy first?
Well, first of all, you can do both at the same time. We in California have proven it over and over that you can protect the economy and also protect the environment. I mean, where we have, for instance, in California, the biggest job creation is in green technology. We have seen an increase there by 36%. We have been increasing the amount of jobs that in all of those different areas, if it is in solar or biofuels and so on. There's one company, for instance, in San Francisco, and also there's companies all around the state that are producing algae fuel that is 90% more efficient and has less, 90% less CO2 output and so on. And they are all creating jobs, and they're doing wonderful things for the environment and also for the economy. So I don't think that you have to choose. I think it is nonsense talk to say, first we should talk about the economy. You can do both. You can have a delegation over here and talk about the environmental issues and about fighting global warming, and simultaneously you can have people over there in Washington and all over the United States talking about how to create jobs and how to bring the economy back. So it's no excuse at all to just boycott, Copenhagen just because we first have to rebuild the economy. I think that there are people that just don't believe in fixing and working on the environment. They don't believe there is such a thing as global warming. They're still living in a stone age, which is okay. You need people like that too. But the bottom line is we got to move forward in this. And I think that the UN is doing a great job of bringing everyone together. I think Ban Ki-moon is a great leader on this issue.
Governor Schwarzenegger, thanks very much for your time this morning.
Absolutely. Thank you.